Welcome back to another episode of Trading Secrets. Today I am joined by social media influencer and TikTok megastar Griffin Johnson. Griffin rose to social media fame in the early stages of the pandemic after being founding member of Sway LA, a notoriously quote-unquote fratty TikTok collaboration house comprising some of the most popular online boy stars, now complete grown men. Since then, Griffin's social media following has grown to over 13 million followers between TikTok and Instagram. And if you take all the other social media platforms out there, it's 15 million plus. He's now led various other career opportunities within acting, music, and the investing space. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into the world of TikTok, the ways that his life has changed for the better and maybe the worse since his rise to fame, and where he sees his career going from here. Griffin, thank you so much for being on Trading Secrets today.
Thank you. Let's get into the whole tickety-tockety world.
Let's get into that tickety-tockety world. Now, I would say in general, just to like set the stage, my audience is probably more of like the millennial crowd. So what I got to do is I got to rep the millennials when there might be like confusion around the TikTok. So if I sound like a TikTok 101er, that's why.
That's right.
Okay. But before we get into that, this is where I want to start. So 2020, before the pandemic, the research I did said that you were, I had to read this 3 times because I just, I see your image, I'm doing this I see your profiles, all your gear, and you're a nursing student. Okay, I was like, whoa, nursing student at Indiana State University. Okay, now on the show, we talk a lot about money. The average nurse in Indiana earns around $69K a year. Mm-hmm. So when you hear that, like that was the path you were on to making $69K a year and where you are today, making the money you are now, like what goes through your head?
Oh, man. Well, I guess at that time, I wanted to do anesthesia. Okay. So I wanted to be a CRNA. That's what my original goal was. So a little bit more cash, but still, I grew up in a small town called Paris, Illinois. I think the last time I checked, it's like 8,000 people maybe. Okay. So really small. So, the traditional 9 to 5, you go to college, you get your degree, you get the job. Anesthesia and nursing there is like pretty damn good.
That's the spot.
Like that, if it's doctor, lawyer, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, at that point, I thought I was like doing really well for myself. Like just had it all planned out. Never had any ambitions to do social media, nothing like that. I was just, I guess a common like farm boy, I guess.
Interesting.
That's what I would say.
So if the kids in high school that you're buddies with or that you're acquaintances with, they see where you are today, and you think to most of them that's like a shock. They're like, wow, I never saw Griffin go in that direction.
Yeah, it's like weird because a lot of my buddies are also super like Midwest farm boys. Uh-huh. Like, we didn't do none of the social media stuff growing up. So they kind of caught on over time, but when it first started, a lot of my good buddies had no idea what was going on. Like, they had no clue. They're like, TikTok, what is that? We didn't use anything hardly except for maybe Snapchat, a little bit of Instagram. Once a year, you'd post something like, a deer you shot or something, a fish you caught.
Yeah.
So it was just a weird time. Like, okay. I didn't even really know what I was doing. I just wanted to make money.
Okay, I love the honesty behind that. So you didn't know what you were doing. The golden question, especially for millennials that still some out there don't know TikTok. What did you do? Like, what actually happened that you blew up?
I didn't really put much effort or thought at first. Like, I was just a kid sitting in class. I had a buddy. He always wanted me to model or do something. I would always refuse. I'm like, I'm not going to go take pictures. I was that guy that wouldn't even smile for a Christmas picture. So he said, get on TikTok. I'm like, what? What is that? I was like, no, I don't want to. And then he's like, you can make money. And then I was like, phew, because at the time, I'm a broke college kid. Mm-hmm. Get your beer money, whatever. So my first few videos were just me in class, and then one day I put on my nursing scrubs because I was in class. I think it was a clinical day or something. Okay. And I posted a video. I think I was spinning a pencil between my fingers. That was it, and it just blew up. And I woke up the next day. I had like 20,000 followers or something.
Did you like say anything or dance in this video? Or you literally were just spinning a pencil?
I was literally just spinning a pencil in class, looking up at my teacher, like messing around in class like anyone else would. And I just put on like I don't know, it was like at the time TikTok wasn't what it was. Right?
Sure.
Like nobody, if you made TikToks, people were like, oh, that's cringy.
Of course.
You know, now everyone makes TikToks or at least watches it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I just clicked a random sound and just put it on there and was like just figuring it out, I guess.
Okay, so you blow up to 20,000. What then creates the spiral to like get to the 500,000 million vibe?
Right. So, like I said again, like 1 million followers on TikTok then was a lot more than it is now. Not saying it's not a lot, but like there was nobody on the app that had 10 million followers.
And I think that's a good, guys, stay tuned to the recap. We'll talk about the growth of TikTok. I'll break down the years and how many users they are. And I think to your point, if you had 1 million followers back in 2020, that is a huge percentage of the actual population using it.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, you know, at that point, to get to 1 million followers, that was like the tippy top. Like that was like the top. Now it's like 100 million. You know, you have people that have 100 million followers on there. So yeah, whenever I woke up, I had 20,000 or so followers. And at the time you could go live on there, right? So like an Instagram live, whatever.
Yeah.
But people could donate to you.
Gotcha.
So I went live the next day, you know, just to see what would happen, and I made like $50.
And that's because when you go live, people can like put the GIFs and stuff.
Yeah, so all the girls came in, they're like, oh, nurse boy, this and that, like, oh my God, like, have my children, whatever they say. And they started donating me money. And I was like, shit, I'll bust a jiggy in the middle of my room for $50. So I think I made like 50 to $100 my first one. And I'm like, holy shit, I am rich.
That's a lot of beer money at Indiana State University.
That is a lot.
And then so you make $100. Tell me, you keep making videos, you keep growing your following. So when was like the next big moment? Like when you look back at your career now, you got 10 million plus. If you guys don't follow Griffin Johnson, go follow him. But you got 10 million plus now. You talked about the moment you blew up to 20, the moment you made 50, $100. What's that next big moment for you in TikTok that you'll always remember in your career?
Yeah, so this was crazy. This was like the ultimate pivot. So the same guy that told me to get on TikTok, right? I think I started February of 2019, and then by like April of that year, I had like 100,000 followers. So it was like pretty quick. Once I got that 20, it was like 20 to 100 was pretty fast. There was Playlist Live. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's like this weird thing in Orlando where a bunch of it was Musical.ly. Now it's TikTok. Creators get together and the fans fly in. It's like it's like VidCon.
Yeah. Yep.
Same thing. And he's like, I'm taking you. His name's Chris Biddle. Great friend of mine. I have to shout him out. He's like, you're going. And I'm like, dude, no. like that's weird. No. And he's like, no, I'm going to fly with you there. So he did. And when I was there, it was like when I met everyone that's in our house now, basically.
Okay.
Except for Bryce, I think. And there was this guy. He basically went there to put together a tour for the summer, right? So he was going and picking like random guys that were on the platform, like starting to blow up and like create a meet and greet tour.
Sure.
Like people ask me like, what do you do? It's like you literally just were there standing and taking pictures and people would line up. It was the craziest shit. But yeah, they would line up and just come take a picture with you, then move on to the next guy, the next guy, the next guy.
Okay.
And that's when it changed because I met, you know, most of the guys that were in our group there, except, Bryce. And this is from the original group. We added people on, but the original group was Bryce Hall, Josh Richards, Jaden Hostler, Keo Sear, and me and Anthony Reeves.
Okay.
So that was the original, like, people in the house. And then we added in as we went.
Gotcha. So in that, you getting into the Sway House was all a play on going to this Play Creators VideoCon type event.
Yeah, so when we went there, it was, that's when we started this tour, I guess. So, right, we did that the summer of 2019. That's where we all met. And it was like, it was just one of those things that was meant to be.
Yeah.
And when he put all of us together, we just had the energy. It was just one of those things.
It was the vibe was there.
Yeah, it was
And
like
you have the power between all you guys.
yeah, it was like putting together an expansion team.
Yeah.
You know, for whatever the NBA, and you just somehow put together a dream team. It was like the craziest thing. So when we came off of that, I was still in college, going into my junior year. So I had a year and a semester left of college.
Okay.
And they're like, dude, you got to move to LA. So after that, that's whenever Sway started, because the amount of hype we got from that tour, they wanted to keep it going.
Okay.
And that's when we all came together and were like, we got to start a house.
Okay, so let's talk a couple bucks here. So before you meet these guys at the conference, you got about 100,000 followers. By the way, this guy Chris, that's a friend of yours. Yeah, I'm gonna say you owe him at least 5% of all your earnings. This guy is influenced. Buy this dude a house one day.
Yeah.
Okay. So he tells you to go down. On that trip, at that point, if you looked at your P&L, how much money do you think you had made from TikTok before you landed at that conference?
Not much.
Okay.
Maybe 500 to 1,000 bucks.
Okay, so $500,000. You then get picked to join the dream team. It's like the Backstreet Boys at TikTok over here. You then get on there. When they signed, like, was that manager, was that Michael Gruen or no?
No,
the one who picked you. Okay,
no.
When they signed you for this tour, do they take, how does it work? Do they like take certain percentage? Do they give you a guaranteed amount, or do they just say, let's go see what we could do and we'll pay you based on how we do?
Yeah, at that time, I was just turned 20. I was like 19 or 20. I knew nothing about business. Like I said, I was a small town kid. My dad, grew up working at the cereal mill. My mom's a nurse now, but growing up she wasn't. So, we didn't talk about business. I didn't know anything about financial literacy or anything. So I don't really remember the deal. I just know that there was a percentage of the tickets that you sold, like people that would say, like, I'm going for Griffin.
Sure.
And then a percentage of like merch sales and stuff. So you'd have like, your own merch there, and you would get a percentage of the merch.
Okay. So in that whole tour, how long is that tour that you did?
So there was 2 phases, right? So there was 1 and 2. I think 1 was 4 or 5 stops. So that was like a week and a half. And then the number 2 was like another week and a half.
Gotcha. And if you had to take a high level guess, how much do you think off those tours came back to your bank account?
Hardly nothing, because you didn't pay any of us. So that's where it got crazy.
What?
Yeah, it was like most people didn't get paid at all, or like, actually I owed money. I'm lying.
You owed money?
So he actually...
Who is this shiest?
I don't really know how it happened, but it was like for each of the hotels and everything we got, he ended up like expensing it to us. So he was like picking the nicest hotels and all this shit, like I was there like,
I got you.
I'm like, dude, I'm the shit. It wasn't much money. It was like $400 or $500, I think, that I owed at the end. But yeah, now that I remember, I owed money.
Okay. So this is the stuff that drives me nuts, right? Kid, he's got talent or looks or whatever. You could definitely twirl a pencil the right way.
I was going to say, I don't know about talent.
Maybe not talent, but he's got, I've heard your music. It's pretty good. But then there's this shark that comes in and completely takes advantage of you. And then to anyone listening out there, I think what I'm taking away from this is he brought you guys on tour. He was managing the finances. He would pick like the Four Seasons or wherever the really nice places were. And then based on your income, he would deduct that expense from your income. And pretty then much. Without really permission planning or anything like that. I don't know who that guy is, but I'm going to go on the record saying, fuck that guy. Very much taking advantage of the situation. Okay, so you go on tour. The kids tell you to go to LA. Now, you're a junior in school. And you said the reason you got on TikTok initially, you said money. So did you drop out of school? And if so, how did you financially justify that decision?
Right. So growing up, believe it or not, I was kind of like a nerd, like goody two-shoes kind of guy. So I actually got a full ride to college for academics. So, for my parents and everything, they wouldn't have been able to pay for it. So that was huge.
Full ride, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you did you have like a monster SAT or ACT score or something?
Or just just like, I don't know. I just walked the line, I guess. I was valedictorian and like.
Damn. Yeah. So what was your like overall GPA in high school?
We didn't have weighted, so it was just a straight up. We had actually a 5.
Okay.
5.0 was like the top you could
Top,
get,
and
but
that's
it
what-
wasn't weighted.
Gotcha. And you had around a 5.0.
Yeah, I had a 5.0.
Damn.
I think it was a out of 5 if I remember right.
Okay.
So, so going in, my parents were ecstatic. No one in my family had finished college, so like, it was a big thing. I think my mom was the only one. She ended up, I can't remember if she just went back now, but at the time, I think she had like maybe an associate's, maybe not. I don't remember, but yeah, the first person to go 4 years, finish it. So to them, it was like everything. My dad was like, he did better than me. It's like kind of a thing. And I didn't drop out. I ended up finishing online.
Okay.
So because I didn't want to pay back the money.
Gotcha.
So if I dropped out, I would have had to pay back all of the money.
Oh, the full ride money.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So
Okay.
I switched and did business online.
Okay.
Just got like a business management degree or
Gotcha.
whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
And so at that time, it was whenever I left, my parents were pretty, I don't even know the word, flabbergasted, I would say. Just the fact that I was leaving, I had a year and a half left. I already had, I was doing well, had good grades, all of the good stuff. So it was weird for me, just from the way I grew up. You didn't really, stray from the line very much. You kind of just grow up, you do your job, you do your work, you move on.
Yeah, based on the picture you've painted of your family, I can imagine when you sit down at the dinner table saying, "Hey, Mom, Dad, I'm no longer going to be a nursing major at Indiana State University. I'm going to move in with 6 guys that are 19, 20. They're all 6'2" plus, extremely good looking, and we're all going to live together and do dances online." And they're probably like, "What the fuck?"
Dude, I remember, I didn't even
about?
tell them that because I was terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad I was like, he's going to rip my head off. So I just told him, I'm moving to L.A.
That's all you said.
Well, of course they got pretty upset after that, so I probably talked more about it. But I just remember I didn't say like, hey, I'm doing this or that. I just said I'm moving to L.A.
Okay. I'm 34 now, and I have financially, I've been able to do pretty well. And even at this point in my life, if I said to Mom, Dad, I'm moving to LA, they'd be like, talk to me about the business case. Like, what's the business case? Like, where are you going to live? Cost of living's up, all that stuff. So at this point, you're 20, or you haven't even finished your schooling yet. How are you justifying, either to yourself or to your family, the business case of, I can afford it, I will make money out there? Like, what's the thought process? Are they giving you guaranteed money to go and live in the house? Like, what was the business case for you to justify going?
Yeah, this is a great question, actually. People ask a lot, and I don't want to sound like a weirdo, but I've always kind of had this, like, I don't know, like a good intuition and feeling about things, and I can't really explain it, but I trusted myself, and I don't do that a lot, but when I do,
it works out.
I know that it's for a reason, and I've kind of always had that. So this was the first time I'd ever experienced that, because I've always, growing up as a kid, like I said, I was like, walking the line, never really broke the rules or did anything crazy. So it was out of character for me to do this, and I knew that for whatever reason, I couldn't explain it, but I knew that there was a reason why I felt that way. And, our house was paid for. So we actually had a company, a couple guys that were paying for the house. So I didn't have to pay to live. So basically any money I made was like spending money.
Okay, so was the company that paid you to live there, was that Talent X?
Yep.
Okay, so guys, stay tuned in the recap. We'll talk more about Talent X and the talent management team behind that. So whatever money you make in there, then is your money.
Yep.
You talked about 50, you talked about $100, made up to 1,000. Do you remember the first moment you were in the house and you got a big paycheck?
We were pretty wild. So, it took us, TikTok once again wasn't what it was. So there wasn't a lot of ad spending. There wasn't a whole lot of companies, taking the chance here. They were just starting to dabble and understand what it was. So I remember my first time I made a bunch of money was a Trojan condom brand deal.
Okay, and give me a timeline. Like, when was this? How many followers did you have at the time?
I actually think that was before we started the house.
Okay.
Right when we were, like,
Just
getting ready
about
to
to
go
go
in.
Okay.
And they did, like, a sex education thing with my nursing stuff. It
Okay.
made sense. And I think I got $5,000.
And what'd you have to do? Post a video?
It was like an Instagram post
Okay.
and some Instagram stories, I think.
And how many followers did you have on Instagram at the time? Around, roughly.
100K.
Okay, 100K. And what if just curious, trading secret? What was the biggest tip you gave? Your Trojan sex education. What was the biggest thing you said? Just wrap it up.
Yeah, it was pretty much like, like one of those things like don't be silly, wrap your willy kind of deals. And it was like a Trojan back to school sex education thing.
Okay, I love it. All right, so 5K, but then you're in the house.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, like having a platform, monetizing it's something we talk about all the time on this show. We've had CEOs of big agencies come on and talk about all the money behind social media marketing and kind of break those walls down. I would think you're in this house with like now the most influential TikTokers in the world. I'm thinking you guys are just raking in coin. Is that not the case?
No, actually. So once again, we weren't very brand friendly, and it's made it.
But sorry to interrupt, but what do you mean by that?
Well, we were just wild. Like, I don't know. It was like the Jackass kind of like.
Kind of like R-rated content. Like
yeah, it's like,
R-rated.
Disney, people like that actually spend money weren't going to spend money on us.
Got it. Okay.
Because we were just, we were really good at entertaining and what came with that was a lot of just wild, crazy parties. Like I got drunk one night, lost a game of beer pong, and then I posted a video of me getting a lip tat. Like, I just remember that off the top of my head because I told that story the other day of how I got a lip tat.
What is the lip tat?
Well,
Can you show it to the camera?
Yeah,
Let's
it's not
see
really
it.
there anymore.
Oh, it's kind of gone away. What
Yeah,
did it
said
say?
full sin. I was at a milk party. I think I played a couple of Kyle maybe and beer pong, and I lost, so I got a lip tat. So that was cool. But yeah, we were just crazy, like brands weren't really spending on TikTok yet, and if they were, they weren't going to spend it on us.
Got it. Okay, so how long did you live in the house for? A year?
Well, we started it January 3rd of 2020, and that original house, I think I lived in it for like 9 months to a year, somewhere in there.
In the house, you guys folded the house in 2021, is that right?
Yeah, and then we split up because a couple of the guys got arrested, and we were just being so crazy that the same problem, we weren't making that much money.
Gotcha. So when you look at your time on the Sway House, I'm blown away by that because I would think there's just, even with the PG-13.
It's different now, though, by the way, because, like, media took a shift, right? Like, it used to be very traditional content. Now it's, like, a lot of wild shit out there, and they're spending money on that because that's what gets clicks and views. So it's different now in the last year and a half, 2 years, than it was at that point.
Gotcha. Yeah, we had Joe Galeazzi on. He's the founder and CEO of Viral Nation, and he kind of was talking about like your G-rated content creators back then, but even still today, like your babies, they're the ones that are like the little kids that are opening the gifts. They're the ones making the most money because there's no liability. They're crushing it.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go Sway House. 9 months. Estimate right now how much you think you made on the top line if you had to guess high level.
When I walked out of there, probably around in my bank, 30 grand.
30 grand. Wow.
So not much.
Not much. I'm shocked by that. Okay, but it's also good to know that because it gives visibility to like maybe what some people do think. Like I think people just automatically associate you're in the house with that big name in LA, rep by a big company, millions and millions and millions of dollars. And that's the beauty of this show is you're really just giving transparency and honesty to the name of the game. When was it that you moved out? Did you say February, March?
Yeah, it was. I think, it was around that time. It was like 9 months. Maybe I was in there for a year. It was like right around February, March, I think.
All right. So I have a quote here. You said it in a Newsweek article, and this was February 2021.
Mm-hmm.
It was social media fame doesn't really last that long. So I'm just using it right now to spin off into business and becoming an avid entrepreneur. Your social media has grown a lot even since that comment. Do you still stand by that statement?
1,000%.
Okay.
Yeah, 1,000%. I pretty much became obsessed with, the whole business behind, like everything, because I was realizing that people were paying me and I was kind of being their bitch and they were making more money than me. Yeah. And it's like, you don't even have followers. you're paying me and you're making more money than I am. So, like I said, I was never financially literate, but I wasn't a dummy. So then I started picking up on it, and I'm like, I want to be the guy that's in the front and behind. And what I mean by that is like figuring out ways that, I can raise my own capital and invest, or, finding ways that I can create my own production company for movies, or whatever it is that I do. I like to be in front and behind.
I love that. I mean, that's a huge learning lesson from where you were.
1,000%.
In
The
the
guys,
sway house.
the guys that make the money, you get to a certain level, obviously, where you get paid a lot as an actor or whatever your profession is, but it's usually the guys behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. When I got off the reality show, I was in the Bachelor world, got off the show, built a following. And what I told people was, when I was a CFO, when I was a banker, because I'm a banker by trade for 10 years, MBAs in accounting and finance, I'd meet with CFOs. And the difference and the gap between what I knew and the products I was selling them and what the CFO knew was nothing. It was razor thin. And what the CFO knew and what I knew was razor thin. So you're negotiating and working with someone who knows every single little thing about your product, service, to offering in the competition. But then I get to this social media world, and the difference between the sharks and the talent, the gap in the information they know is larger than literally the entire United States. It's
night
sick.
and day.
It's sick. And so then what happens is the sharks come in, exactly what they do with you, and they completely suck you dry, put you on tour, put these big expenses, and then you're paying them for the money they made, which is just complete bullshit. That's when I started a talent agency myself. So I have a talent agency. It's for talent, by talent, advised by talent. So it's like all the things that we have got screwed on, we're going to make sure don't happen to the talent, to be on the front end and the back end, just like you said. When you got out of that house, what was the first big deal that you took or that you invested in, whatever it is that you said, holy shit, maybe what was happening in the Sway house isn't the reality, because now my feet are on the ground, I'm doing it for myself, TikTok's blowing up, and like, what was that dollar amount?
I'll tell you this. I remember the biggest deal that I lost in Sway, and this was like right whenever we started leaving, was like, I think I had a $400,000 gaming deal with Facebook.
Okay.
And when they got arrested, it got pulled. So that's whenever we split. So that deal was on the table. I was like, holy shit, I'm about to make, at the time, I'm like, I'm going to be fucking rich. And so I remember that. I think the biggest deal I did coming out was, I have to think about it. I think I did a deal with the NBA.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was a big deal.
That's pretty sick.
And like, as soon as I left Sway, I made 1,000 times more money when I was out than whenever I was in.
Why?
Just the name around it, and just how crazy. And we had right before it ended, we had a COVID party that shut down the power and water in LA, and just like all these big headlines of things that were crazy. And it just did not pan out very well.
Interesting. So since you left the Sway house, everything has changed drastically for you then.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So NBA, you said, was one of your best deals. Facebook deal, you lose $400K, not even because something you did, but something someone else in the house did. And that's the crazy, like, brand power. Like, even if it's not you, but you're tied to them, it still runs with you. That's wild. Okay. So then what would you say is the best business move you have made? We got NBA as your best deal, Facebook deal you lost. Since the Sway house, you're now on your own. Yep. Now you got your following. You went through all the crazy things to do it.
Thank God.
It's over. Tattoos on your lips. You got, you're running to conferences, doing boy band meet and greets, but without the band.
Not even the talent.
Not even the talent. What was the best move you've made since then, and how did that financially pan out for you?
I would say definitely VC fund.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, let's see. It's been, I think, 2 years now. Time flies. But we have Animal Capital. So, we ended up raising $10 million. That's where we started. We raised a little bit over, but we started with, a bunch of people saying, like, no way these kids can raise. Because, Michael Gruen was who I originally was working with on it.
Yep.
And Josh Richards. So we were, at the time, 19, 21, and 22. And we told people we were gonna raise, you know, $10 million from like big names in the business in the VC world, everyone. So, you know, I remember 8 months straight, I did at least 8 hours, if not 12 hours straight of back-to-back calls for 8 months to get that fund going.
Wow.
But I met, you know, dinners every night, like the whole shebang, every single day at dinner, like Monday through Sunday, the whole shebang. And I met so many people. I have so many, you know, great mentors, great connections that have taught me so much from that. You know, the money from the VC is great, and, you know, investing, I love it. But just the relationships I made from that have brought me so many deals and just, you know, so much money and so many great relationships and connections.
That is so cool. So you start a VC fund. Guys, if you're confused at all what a VC fund is, stay tuned to the recap. I'll break down exactly what it is. But you raise $10 million. And then the way that you guys, and we'll break down again what they are. So if you're confused, stay with it. But the way you're making money off the VC fund is two things, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's the expense ratio, so you can take management fees out, right?
Yep.
And then it's any return that you make on an investment when you write a check, correct?
Yeah, so essentially, you know, you find a startup company. That's what we do, depending on your check size, anywhere from like, you know, 150 to 250 grand. Sometimes more. It just depends, but besides the point, you put your money in to an early stage, right? So like, let's say, you know, you're looking for the next Uber. You know, that's used a lot. It's like, put your money in founders and a company and an idea you believe in, and then eventually one day if it exits, so if it sells and it's still private, then that's great. Or if it goes public, then you get your money back from your shares.
Right.
You know, or you can sell along the way to, you know, buyers or whatever. But that's the goal, is you put your money into something and it, you know, 25,000x, 1,000x, 100x, whatever the price is. And that's how you make your money.
Exactly. And in VC, it's usually extremely high risk, but it's extremely high reward if it pays off. One of the things, if I'm meeting with anyone from the VC world, the first question I ask them, if I'm thinking about writing a check, would be, how much do you have? What is like an LP? What have you invested into it? So for you, Josh and Michael, did you guys contribute some of your own monies? And if so, how much did you contribute?
So we never put our own capital into the fund.
Okay.
We were writing personal, like, angel checks.
Okay.
So kind of how we navigated. We brought in a guy named Marshall Sandman, by the way. I forgot to add him in, but I got to shout him out. Love that guy. He worked at Goldman, then he did venture at Warner, and then we kind of got I can't remember who gave us the intro, but they said, you should hire this guy, and that's where it all kind of came together. So that's the group, right? You know, that's where it kind of originated, and what we started off doing was writing personal checks, and then we would get advisory on top for our following. So we'd either do like posting, or we'd just like, they'd use our name in articles, or we would even come up with marketing strategies. And we'd say, like, you know, we'll write you a small check, whatever, 5, 10, 20 grand. And then you give us, like, you know, you triple that or double that in the amount of advisory.
Gotcha.
So then we'd get, you know, 40, 50 grand, 75 grand, 100 grand in advisory back
in return. Yeah. I mean, it's a brilliant way to do it. And it's exactly how you get in front and behind, like you just said earlier, when it comes to just only being paid for deals. Now, you do venture deals. Before I wrap that up, have you had one big, like, success or big exit yet, or one that's close?
The only one I've really done is Magic Spoon cereal.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what. Do you remember what stage?
And I
you
didn't
got
sell
in?
all of it, but just part of it. It was, we did a deal with them in like early, like January or February of 2021, I think, or maybe it was even 2020, somewhere around in there. But yeah, we did a deal with them, and part of our deal was equity. So I took some equity. And
so it's like a blend of cash and equity?
Yeah, it was like a little bit amount of cash and equity.
Gotcha.
So that one, I sold a little bit of it recently, and that felt really good. To like get a nice win off of something.
Is that a 6-figure win or no?
Right at it.
Right at it.
Yeah.
That's, and guys, again, recap Magic Spoon. I'm going to talk all about it. Probably about 9 months ago, I met with a PE group that's repping Magic Spoon to get in on a deal. And so for anybody that's listening to that great. It's awesome.
Shout out
But
to them.
Shout out to Magic Spoon.
I appreciate them.
But also, if timing is everything, right? And that's one of the biggest questions when someone says they invested in a deal. A lot of people will use that to build credentials for their resume. But the next question you always immediately ask is, when did you invest in the deal? Because anyone can invest in a deal once the deal's already done.
Right.
6 to 8 months ago, if I invested in Magic Spoon, I am light years away from the time you did it, even though that was like a year earlier, because their growth in that year was
exponential,
massive.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap those details up in the recap. So stay tuned. Congratulations. That's really cool.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So things have changed a lot then since you got in the Sway
lot.
house. $50 to $1,000. You walk out of the Sway with $30,000. Now you got VC, you got equity in Magic Spoon, 6-figure payout. You go from making hundreds to, I mean, I'm making the assumption, and you can Google stuff online, it's always wrong. You're a millionaire now.
Yeah. Actually, are we talking like capital in the bank, or are we talking like net
just
worth?
like your net worth? If
Yeah,
you're
because
at
I
those
invest
type
a lot
equity,
of money too.
yeah.
So, net worth for sure.
Okay, that's amazing. I fucking love that. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's huge. And a valedictorian too. Like now, you obviously have the mental capability and the wherewithal to have learned it. You just weren't taught it. Now you're taught it, and all momentum's behind.
By the
you.
way, I don't want to sound like an egotist. I was an idiot. I just put myself in the right place with the right people, and that's the smartest thing you can do. I'm not saying I was a genius or anything crazy. A lot of luck in there. A little bit of just knowing where to be at the right time and putting myself there. I don't want to sound like
I want just to clarify, just for understanding. The point I'm trying to make is and this is the whole thesis of the podcast. This is why we do it every day. We are not taught this shit in our curriculum that we have to know. And guess what happens? Things like this happen and you blow up. And the result of that is other people who were taught it or did learn it are taking advantage of you. Period.
Yep.
And until you learn it, you're never going to be able to do well for yourself and others. And I think what's cool about the story is you learned it the hard way, and now you're doing well for yourself and others. Like that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, definitely learned the hard way. Like I said, just a small town kid, nothing crazy, just a little farm town. Grew up, working in factories and shit. I had no idea what I was doing. So I learned a lot of things the hard way.
That's good stuff. All right. So then you become the millionaire in net worth from TikTok. You then transition, and I've been reading about your acting career. So you just had a small show come out. It's a rom-com. I saw Diamonds in the Rough.
Yeah.
And you did an interview, and you were saying that, and Harry Jowsey was in this interview too, and we talked about him a little bit, but before the show, you said, I think a lot of people in honesty, honestly, people are a little bit. Let me cut that from the top. Quote. I want to make sure
I sound like that?
Correct. No, you didn't. You did not. Let me quote that the right way. I think a lot of it's honestly, people are a little bit. I don't want to say jealous, but they really love to come down on people from TikTok because the careers are happening pretty quick. And this was in reference to a question you were asked about. You're getting a lot of like pushback because now you're starting as an actor and you're not an actor by trade and you didn't go to trade school, and that was your response. And so you have acted now, you've been in a movie. Based on that and what you heard the haters say, do you think the career of acting is something you can jump into, or do you think it really does take, like, got to go to school, got to practice your trade? What's your take on it now that you've done it?
Option 2. And I think that some people are just naturally born to entertain. They're really good on camera. And I think even social media made me better on camera, more familiar with the whole scene. Because, some people, they've gone 8, 10, 12 years of trying to be an actor or an actress. And they've never been on camera. Then you get your first role and you're so nervous because the camera's there, So it did help me out a lot with that. But you definitely have to work. And, even now I've been working on it for 2.5 years. School, I do auditions. Like, I just practice auditions. Like, sometimes I don't even submit them. I just do them to get on tape. And, it takes a lot of work. And there's a lot more to it. It's like acting and being a great actor is almost soul-searching because it's deeper than just reading the words. And for a long time, I guess, I never understood what it meant.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to really learn and respect the industry.
Got it.
Just because it moves a lot slower. You know, TikTok's very, like,
Quick
social
pace.
media is quick. You know, you
Yeah.
post something, you get likes, instant gratification. And I have nothing but respect for it. And it's been, like I said, 2.5 years now of me really pursuing it. And I'm still just, like, slowly climbing the ladder.
I love it.
So definitely trade school.
You're putting in the work, though, which makes sense. And within the career of acting, we've had an actress and one actor on. What do you think about the compensation that comes with it?
Once again, you got to climb that ladder. You think that actors and actresses make a lot of money. They don't. You know, they make a good living. Don't get me wrong. They're not. But a lot of them are broke. Even some of the ones that you see, you know, they do a show or two and they've done well, or they do a big movie once. Until you are like a really established actor, and even a lot of the famous ones you see that are, you know, people recognize on TV, they're still not like paid a lot. Sometimes it's the artist, like the ones that create the $3 million movies, and they get paid a bunch of money because they're like very artisty. I don't know how to explain it, but more of the story is, yeah, a lot of them are not as compensated as one would think.
It's a tough career. I mean, it's a tough career to, like, if that's your only source of income, right?
The ones that are the ones that produce also. And that's why I'm so interested. Like, you know, you could make, let's say you make $100,000 on a movie, right?
Okay.
And they pay you $100,000, whatever. That's it. Like, you're done. You walk out. Whereas, you know, you make a movie for $3 million. The average spending on a movie for Netflix is right around $10 million. So if you can make a movie for 3, sell it for 10, you own whatever percent of the movie for producing it, 10% or whatever, you're going to make more money.
Got it. Now, are you on the production side of things now?
Yeah. So that's what I actually mixed a little bit of like VC with the producing now, because I'm working on raising my own fund. I have 4 movies I'm producing next year. And hopefully, God willing, I sold a show to HBO Max, and it's been in production, but we'll see if it gets greenlit. So that's kind of what I'm working on now, is producing.
Cool. So for people that don't know, and they're back at home thinking about this, you produce the show.
Mm-hmm.
You then sell the show to HBO Max. So when you sell that, are they actually paying for it?
Right. So there's layers to it, right? So it's a very intricate, detailed process that I didn't understand either.
Yeah.
But basically, when you sell a show, they buy the idea, right? So they like give you a little bit of money.
Okay.
Let's say $50,000. You got to get the writer. You got to get all this stuff put together. And then where you make the money is if you film it, you let out a season and it does successful, then they buy it back the next year. So pretty much when you sell a show, the first season, you don't make that much money.
Interesting.
It's basically like a test pilot to see if your idea is actually good or not.
Okay. And how would you decide? How would you define the word greenlit for people back home?
Greenlit, just saying that it's going to be on air. It's
Got
like
it.
a production. It's going to be on TV.
And then you'll make the real money in a show if it gets renewed for another season?
Yeah. So like, for instance, right, like if you do, let's just say The Bachelor, right?
Yep.
Like season 1, maybe even sometimes season 2, season 3, you know, they don't make that much money, whatever.
Got it.
It's like peanuts compared to what it will make. But now, I mean, I couldn't even imagine, you know, what they pay to have a season of The Bachelor. You know, I imagine it would be something absurd.
Absolutely nuts. Okay, that's interesting. So now you're on the production side of things too. Crazy. All right, so we jumped into acting. Last thing about acting, do you see like 5, 10, 15 years from now? Is this something you really, really want to pursue, or is it a project in the time period you're currently in?
Yeah, no, I love it. And it's more for the challenge. And I just love to entertain. And I realize that through social media that it's just something I really like to do. So I'm definitely going to pursue it. Okay. It's just like, it's one of those things I'm like, it's what I wish I could do full time.
Yeah.
But it just takes so much time and effort and like luck, a little bit of luck in there to really make it happen. So It seems like a side hustle, but really it's like my dream.
That's your dream. Okay, you got to put it out there, manifest it, follow that intuition, just like you did all the way to LA. All right, I want to get into the music industry. So Spotify, Griffin Johnson, you got. I think I saw you have 2 songs out there, right?
Well, one of them I got hacked.
Oh shit!
And it wasn't even me. It was like someone hacked my Spotify.
Okay.
And I don't even know how to take it down. Like I just was like, screw it.
All right, you just like let it rip. Okay. So, but the songs I saw out there's on average 20,631 monthly listeners, and then there's your most popular song, "Convenient." I was bumping to that before you came in. Just listened to it the first time. A lot of emotion that one. Guys, go download it. 4.1 million streams.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's
Really?
what it says. 4.1 million. Yeah, good for you. Of that, like 4.1 million. Does Spotify, like, how much can you make money off music? Like, do you get paid for 4 million streams or no?
I'm not very good at the music industry. That was just like a social media stunt a long time ago. I put that out for like, it was like, I guess, sort of shits and gigs.
Yeah.
I didn't like want to be a musician.
Okay.
It's more of like an old diss track, whatever. It's funny now. But I've got paid $0.
Paid $0 so far.
I don't know.
Or there's some little shark taking it from you.
I never. So I'll just be transparent. The music industry is the most ruthless industry I have seen ever. Like, I put that song out for shits and gigs. There was some deal we had with Talent X, with Warner or whatever. And I remember, like, they basically sent me an email. It was like, either you give us all the money you've made from YouTube and all of that, or we're going to sue you. Like, there was, like, no in between.
Why, though? Because you signed a record deal with them or something?
They
like,
had
what basis can they sue you?
I don't know the exact deal. Some kind of exclusive deal where anyone at Talent X that puts out music had to go through Warner.
Okay.
So I made the song with 303.
God.
So they helped me like kind of like put it together and like produce it and whatever you do with music, mix it up and whatever. And I just kind of put it out. I was like, one day I like woke up and I was like, fuck it. And I just posted it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that there was like anything.
All these ties and stuff.
And now I don't even know. I've made $0 from
Okay, so you pretty much were just like, take the music.
I'm like,
go have it. I'm done making it.
I'm like, I just did this for like shits and gigs. I'm not trying to be, famous for making music. I just did it because.
Yeah.
And they were just like, I mean, it was ruthless.
Shit, that music business, I agree with you. It's really tough. It's also extremely hard to monetize. Extremely hard.
Yeah.
Now, once you do, it's big. But even then, there's a lot of hands in the pocket. You made a comment right there. You said social media stunt. It was a social media stunt.
Mm-hmm.
It's someone that is often in the news for social media stuff and knowing a lot of guys that kind of run the girls that run the TikTok gamut. Is that something that people plan? Do you think people really strategize for social media stunts to increase engagement, get followers, stuff like that?
I would say that it's a yes and no.
Okay.
I think that, and this is like the wholehearted truth. People have asked me this before. Everything that we used to do, like none of it was set up. Like it was like a complete shit show. Like that's why people loved it. It was like you couldn't even make this shit up. The things that were happening, just like arrests and fights and breakups and like the whole shebang was just nuts. Like people dating girlfriends and they were like in the same house and like just like craziness.
Yeah.
And it was real. And I think that the only thing that's ever really faked is the relationships.
Okay.
And
like they're not, it's like not true. It's all fugazi.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like it's all a bunch of attractive people.
Sure.
Young people. Of course, they want to,
whatever. Yeah.
hook up and do their shit. That's not fake. But like a lot of them, what's really driving on the inside is how many followers can I get from this and how much money can I make from this? Even though they probably don't ever say it.
That's all in it.
It's in the back of your head.
Yeah. And what's crazy is these are in the age group of these people. This is 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, right?
Right around.
Right around.
Like that's the heart of it.
That's the heart of it.
Yeah, I was 20, 21 whenever I was like really in the space.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess to my point is like if that's the thought process then, I mean, there's so much more life to be like what's the thought process going to be at 25 or 30 when there's serious money in and then you see in general, forget about TikTok 10, 20, 30 years ago, Hollywood couples, it's almost like a joke because they're married every month, and
Yeah.
a lot of it like is all
Headlines.
a play. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
headlines, you know, all of that good stuff.
Crazy stuff. Okay, I appreciate you answering the question on social media. Stunt. All right. One of the last things I got for you is we talked a little bit. I heard the word bachelor. You haven't been on any reality TV. Would you go on reality TV? And for any Bachelor Nation out there, if you're single, would you make a play on the show, or would you say like that's not for me?
You know, that's a great question as well. You've had some great ones today. I'm not against it. I think people put too much of like, you know, and this isn't from the viewers. This is from the business, and I'm sure you know, like a negative outlook on people that do reality.
Now more than ever.
Now more than ever.
Especially if you're trying to get into acting.
Yeah.
You reality TV, you better kiss it goodbye. You never touch. Like the two worlds don't collide.
Yeah, and I just think it's silly. And I think that in the next, you know, the Hollywood, a lot of the people are old. And like the people that are in power have been in power for a while, and it just kind of trickles that way. I think it's starting to shift now that people have social media and people are able to make a name for themselves that were nobodies before, right? Like, I'm going to be able to put together my own production, like my own production fund, and produce movies and create movies without even really fucking with any of them. So I think it's going to shift, and I definitely would, because fuck it, why not?
Yeah. I
think it's stupid. Like, who cares?
To like
bro?
put the stigma. I also think if you're talking only dollars and cents, only money, if you take someone who has nothing and then you give that person in 2022 2 years with a reality TV platform and they do well in the show, or you give them 2 years in acting, the person reality TV on average is going to 100% make more money, have a bigger following, and have a higher chance of like creating a bigger splash, because that's the market now, and it's harder to make it in that world. So it's interesting that there is that stigma that's so strong, especially in LA. It's like, reality TV guy, don't talk to me.
Well, it's the media too, you know, because a reality star, once they're off the show, the show is them.
Yep,
and that's that's the only downside with acting. You kind of build a career around you. With reality TV, and some people break out, you know, as you can see, like, you know, Tyler, a few people, Harry, you know, my boy Joey Joy, like, there's people that do well out of it. It's just acting is more respected.
100%.
And that's just what it comes down to. And I think one day it's going to shift.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. All right, let's go with this. Do you have a revenue goal? Like, do you have 2023, I want to make $5 million, $2 million? Do you have any money targets like that?
You know, what I've realized, I used to do that. And what I've become more successful with is focusing on passive income.
Okay.
So, you know, like I was making a lot of money here and there, sporadic, you know, random checks, you know, random deals, whatever. This year I want to make, my goal is to start off making like 50 grand a month.
50 grand a
like
month
figuring out
from
how
passive income, you're saying?
Every month.
Okay.
Like no matter what, I could sit on my ass for the most part.
Yep.
And make 50 grand.
So you want to go into January 1, 2023, having set up investments that you know for sure, if you literally don't post again, act again, you do shit, you're making 50K a month from the money that you've deployed and the people you've arranged that with.
Yeah, whatever that is. I just acquired part of a marketing company, so that's where I'm starting.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to figure out whatever it takes, whatever investment, whatever it is to make 50 grand a month.
All right. Well, maybe if you want to acquire part of a talent agency, we can help you get there too. So don't forget about that. That's awesome. Yeah, actually, you mentioned Harry. I think when he came on, he said his revenue goal. I'll have to follow back up with him. I think for 2022, his revenue goal was $10 million in gross revenue.
Wow.
So, but he also does crazy shit to get it. Like he's like, I was like, break it down. Like he's like, yeah, well, last month, I made $1 million off OnlyFans. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I love it. All right. Last thing I got for you, any projects coming up? Anything like secret opportunities down that you could tease for our listeners?
I would say one thing that I'm excited about is a movie I'm working on right now. It's called Austin.
Okay.
And I actually found the book, and the writer ended up, we really hit it off, and it's already a book series. You can look it up. The book's called Austin. And it's basically this guy that's into underground street racing. But it's like he owns, we're putting a little twist on it, but He owns like a media company, looking to do hopefully a country like music label and do that in Nashville.
Oh, no way.
So
Wow.
that would be really cool for me. Something I'm really excited about and what I'm looking forward to.
That's cool. And when you said you're working with a writer, does the writer come to you with that opportunity, or are you finding the writer? Like, how does that come together?
Yeah, so kind of with my background and who I am, people tend to send me things that they think I would like, more for financing because when you put a movie together, you got to get financiers. So the send me this will be like, hey, do you like this? Like, would love to work on this with you. And then with the writer, they sent me the book, and I was like, oh, I want to meet the writer. The writer, she's super awesome. And we're very aligned on like what the goal of the movie would be and like kind of what she was thinking when she wrote the book.
Got it.
So that's kind of how it goes. Is like, you got to talk to the writer because they have a story, and a lot of them are passionate about that. They worked really hard on it, and you got to collab with them and make sure that you don't taint the story or paint it in a way that they don't want.
So they know you have a production company. They know they have you following. They reach out to you saying, what do you think of this?
Mm-hmm.
You like the writer. You like the story. You guys agree how you would do it. Then you go get the financing to make it happen.
I mean, yeah, some people don't do that. They just, like, if they get rights to a book or whatever, they're like, fuck it, and they do whatever they want. But I love being very, like, I love interacting with people and making things the way that they like.
Yeah.
And it usually works out for me, so that's how I do it.
I love it. All right, we'll get your trading secret from you. Before we do, the last question I have. You got acting. You got a little bit of music. You got a whole lot of TikTok, venture capital. I mean, the list goes on. I'm thinking to myself, I never realized how much you do have going on until I talk to you like this. How many hours a week are you working?
So it used to be a lot. Like, I would work every day, all day. Like, I would barely, I don't know, even whenever I necessarily wasn't working, my mind would be working. And what I've figured out is having people, like, basically that you work with that run it.
Got it.
So it's like, for VC, Marshall, my homeboy, I talk to him almost every day, but he runs a lot of it. With the production and everything, I got my boy Joey Stanton. We work together a lot, but he's pretty much the guy that goes and finds, like, all the scripts and, like, finds all of the writers and the books and the people. And then my job is to get the money. So it sounds like a lot, but I'm working with people and having people with the marketing stuff. There's already a whole team there. I'm just a part of it that helps come up with the strategies. So I figured out ways to, have some well-oiled machines to where I'm just a piece of it.
Got it.
And I'm just helping it move along.
And do you have someone that's auditing these people to make sure, like, all the dollars and cents are being put in the right place now? And you're not having to pay people? Okay.
Little, like, QuickBooks and, like, all of that stuff. Like, pretty much everything I have is, like, I'm like a spreadsheet guy.
So full transparency to everything now.
Yeah, fully, like, getting paid this for that on this day. Here's this, here's that. Haven't got paid for this.
Perfect. I love it. All right, well, we got to wrap up with your trading secret. It's one financial, professional, investing, trading secret you can give us, career navigation, anything that can only come from Griffin Johnson. Can't be, Googled or learned in a classroom. What would it be?
I think that my biggest thing that I tell people is, believe in yourself. And it sounds super cliche, but basically what I mean is, like, that gut thing. I have so many people that come up to me and they have things that they love or ideas, like, for instance, one guy came up to me, he wants to do fishing for his career and make content and do all that. I'm like, well, how often are you posting? I haven't posted yet. It's like, well, what are you waiting on? And I think that, that fear is what holds people back. So I would just say, you get one life, and a lot of things in this world, if you're consistent and you're doing what you love, I promise that you can figure it out. You'll pivot, you'll find it, you'll figure it out no matter what. Even, I've been scared before. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. Like, I'll fail. I just truly think that if you love it, you'll figure it out every single time. So I would just say to make sure that you're taking the risk.
Take the risk. Trust your intuition. One follow-up question. If someone just heard your trading secret, and whether it's fishing, it's yoga, it's fitness,
anything,
cooking, whatever it is, and they heard you just say to that guy, you're not posting about it, and their follow-up question was, how much do I have to post about it? For a guy that has 15 million followers, trading secret, how often would you post about your trade if you're trying to make it in that trade?
Okay, yeah, that's another good one. So I think about it this way. If you want to build a community, because that's what it comes down to, right? It's like, fuck how many followers you have, what's your community? I think that if you, once again, if you love it and you're doing what you like to do, there is no like number of times to post. I think that you'll naturally find yourself, as you get more comfortable with the camera and on screen, you'll find yourself posting more. And I think that the more you post, the better it is.
Okay.
You know, like the more consistent and the more that you post in a day, the more that people are going to get to know you. They're going to, you know, see your day. They're going to feel like they're living with you. They're going to feel like they're there with you. They're your friend, whatever. And the more, the better.
All right. The more, the better. Griffin Johnson, if people out there aren't following you, which I'd be surprised if they aren't, but if they aren't, where can they find all your stuff?
Just I'm Griffin Johnson. That's it on every platform. I am GRIFFINJOHNSON.
And that's the consistency he tells you guys to have at home. Griffin, thank you so much for being on this episode
Thanks
of
for
Trade
having me.
Secrets. Beautiful.
Sweet.
Awesome.